What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always, and it's been too long, by Connor Rogers with the great shirt. We're popping all the green today for day one of training camp. CR, how you doing? How you feeling? Goddamn football is back.
I'm back. Football is back. It's all here. I jumped on the feed for War Room last week.
We weren't letting you get away with the whole week.
No, I had like a 3.5-ish day vacation down the shore, so it was local. And then I was home for a day. And then I was the best man in my best friend's wedding. So that was a full, like, we woke up really early Friday, golf, the whole thing. Wedding was Saturday, all the way into, the Sunday brunch. You got to return the tux on Sunday, the whole thing. So that was my whole week of being off. That it's just hilarious that both those extensions came in. So got on the War Room feed. So if you're not subscribed there, subscribe to War Room. We do. It was cool. I did some analytical trends and matched them with some things I've seen on film, a concept that maybe I could try to look at, halfway through the season or whatever it may be. But it's good to be back. We got some news, and now training camp is underway. I know things could change at any moment, and they haven't technically had a real practice yet, but a very business-like approach to training camp this year.
Absolutely. And I think while we'll knock it out at the top, if you're watching this, it could be on YouTube, it could be in front of our paywall. We're running a get 1 month War Room free marketing campaign right now. There'll be a link in the bio of this episode, whether on YouTube or Patreon. 1 month free War Room. We do like 17 video podcasts a week. We do extra episodes. We have a Discord, which is the best community of Jet fans on the internet. So
I totally agree.
This is a great way to dip your toe in the water. Once you come in the funnel, there's no escaping. So take advantage of the campaign we got going on. Thank you, Bobby, for help setting it up. I think we already had like 40-ish people join today.
That's great.
Which is nice. And then we're a month away, literally 1 month away from August 23rd. Live show, Stout Grand Central. We're giving away sweet tickets. We're giving away jerseys. We're doing Jets Jeopardy.
The giveaways are nuts.
The giveaways are kind of nuts. We're still wrapping our head around them. And it's just all of us talking about Jet Steelers and talking about the season. So open bar tickets, cash bar tickets, badlandstoj.com. That link is in the bio. We're up over 100 tickets now. We're only selling 200 tickets. So get them before they're gone. All right, let's talk football. Yeah. I don't want to, we've talked a lot about Garrett and Sauce, but it's important we get to talk about it together.
Right.
I know you were really surprised about the timing on Garrett. I was surprised.
Yes.
Now, but I feel like this was one that, we talked it through and your reasoning was very sound. And I kind of put myself in Garrett's shoes in that why would I rush to sign this contract right now? What is my hurry? Right. And I was really pleasantly surprised that they got it done early. He's, if you listen to Badlands, you know how we feel about the player. I don't think it was like overly team friendly, but it definitely shades the team friendly. So this is the one that hit first. Of course, it was Monday of last week. What was your genuine surprise level? Because I feel like in your head, you probably thought this was like a coin flip if it happens at all before the season. And it ends up coming first. Although Sauce did say today in one of his quotes that he could have done it the same day, but he wanted Garrett to have his moment, which is very nice. It was very nice. A lot of good quotes we'll get into. But what was the Garrett reaction and surprise?
Definitely different. The Sauce reaction was we were just waiting for it to be announced.
It was like to the T, the dollar amount, we thought.
It almost, the Sauce one felt like the Quinnen one where you knew the player is comfortable here. The market had kind of set itself up. We've had some corners sign this offseason and plenty that were in that, okay, I'm the next corner, up to be the highest paid guy, and where the financials were almost laid out for the Jets. It was just a matter of the Jets wanted to do it, right? Which was going to be a big decision, or maybe not a big decision at all. Maybe they were overly confident from Glenn and Muji, where you look at it and you go, okay, are the Jets comfortable doing this right now? And I don't think there was any ever question about Sauce. Sauce has been very public lately that he's like, I want to be here. I want to turn this thing around. Garrett, I think over the years, understandably, because it's much different, right? Sauce can go out there and outside of the scheme, which he's a very scheme-proof corner. You don't look at Sauce Gardner and go, well, we'd really prefer to be in press man today, or, hey, we really like how Sauce plays in cover 3. Sauce can play any coverage at a pretty high level. And they're going to put more on his plate, this regime. That's why they just gave him that
There's
contract.
a great quote from him today about that, talking about blitzing more, traveling, like
playmaker, right?
Like we wrote the quote ourselves. Couldn't have wanted it any better. Yeah.
Wreck the game. And they don't give him that contract if this coaching staff and GM, but more notably Wilkes and Glenn, who had their resumes speak for themselves about DBs and defense, if they don't have bigger plans for him. So there was no surprise there. It was honestly the shock that Sauce was announced after Garrett, right? Yes, and like you said, there was a little bit of reasoning behind that. Garrett, I know you guys were a little bit more optimistic on. One, for me, the Jets just don't do this, right? It was kind of the reaction from guys that have covered the team a really long time. Even the national guys, the way they worded their tweets, if you saw the national reporters, it was kind of like, they're not typically a team that always gets ahead on deals. I wasn't sure if the Jets would go the extra mile, which they did, to get somebody to sign early. And when you do that, essentially in the most simple forms, you're paying the player for what you think he is going to be rather than, and I don't think it was that outlandish. Garrett, you see flashes of why we all think he could be a top 8 to 10 wide receiver. And he's been held back by quarterback and scheme and all these different things. But the Jets had to go there and be like, okay, we need to treat you like a top 10 wide receiver on the market right now. And we think this deal will age gracefully. And that's how we felt. And they ponied up the cash to do it, simply the cash to do it. And Garrett, some things happened this offseason that favored keeping Garrett. I don't think this happens if they bring back Aaron Rodgers. I don't, quite simply. No. I truly don't believe that. I think that he probably needed to feel the love from the staff. And it's not just Tanner Engstrand, but Aaron Glenn. We've heard all of the rumblings that Aaron Glenn has gone out of his way since he got this job to kind of be on top of Garrett and be like, I think the world of you, and you're going to be a big-time player for this team that gets the ball a lot. Because Aaron Glenn was just in Detroit for what Amon-Ra St. Brown has become. It is so easy to project Garrett Wilson in a similar kind of usage and similar kind of volume. So very happy that deal got done. Obviously a player that we love and we hope is a Jet for the rest of his career. And now it's on the Jets, to build a winner for these guys, because these guys are going to help you win games. I truly, truly believe that. You got to get the right pieces around them to take that to the next level. But it's nice that business is done. And now you can move forward because that's a part of the nucleus of your organization.
Yeah, and it was great to spend day one reading all of the quotes from Garrett and Sauce about being happy to be here. Sauce excited about being moved around in a new scheme. Garrett conceding that they haven't won a lot of football games, so it meant a lot to him for the team to invest in him. Getting to hear a lot from Quinnen saying he's hungry to win more than 7 games.
Yeah, he brought up Alabama.
We feel that. And like we said, he's the player we'd be happiest for if they broke the drought, because he's really kind of been here the longest in a prominent role. And none of the like Terry McLaurin, Trey Hendrickson noise you're seeing around the league, where this goes another way.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah, Micah Parsons. This goes another way where all of today is Garrett's contract, Sauce's contract. Why didn't you get paid? How you feeling about the contract? I don't have to worry about any of that. They even cleaned up the Mason Taylor thing, and I know all the second rounders basically fell in line except for one, but they got that business done, so it wasn't a discussion point. And like you said, very business-like, just talking football, just talking about being excited for the new staff and all the full attendance that you want to see. No surprise that Jermaine's on the PUP list. That makes sense, and he'll work his way back. And everything we're hearing, including from our friend Zach, is he'll be ready to go week 1. Do I expect him to play 60 snaps week 1? No, but he'll be out there week 1, and you hope he works his way back to that level. We got the nice leaked new locker rooms for the Jets, which I get the reaction tweets like, tell me when they win some games. That's great, but whatever. However, like some of the things the Jets have done this offseason, like beef off their analytics department. They made another hire in the analytics department last week. Now they actually are up to 5 or 6 people. They made some changes in the front office we've asked for a while. They turned over other parts of the building. They hired game management coaches. Being ranked like dead last year, getting the F grade on experience for your employees, your players, bad cafeteria, bad locker room, that matters. And it does have an impact, right? You want to like where you go to work. You want to stay an extra 3 hours because it's comfortable and there's music in the sauna and there's a barber shop and everything's state of the art. It doesn't hurt. Woody Johnson's got plenty of money to spend. So do I think it's going to directly translate to the Jets winning games? No. Do I think it's better to have a state-of-the-art facility than a really bad facility? Yes. Why not go spend the money on it? So happy to complain and criticize them when they're serving bad food and players are unhappy, happy to compliment them when they invest the money to fix it. So little things like that, where what we're talking about day one of camp is all that stuff we just discussed, not anything that is not football related or a distraction. What are your thoughts on some of the early, I'll call them walk-in day one vibes? And then we could get into ripping apart my 53-man roster prediction.
Well, number one, the obvious, you'd rather see a team respond in a healthy way to criticism,
Yes.
a productive, healthy way to criticism than just do nothing. So you can't get on here and, like clown the Jets to that degree. At the same time, this is kind of how, Woody, we know Woody is there's ears to the ground is how I should say it, or he hears feedback and he typically responds to feedback of how to fix these certain things. And the locker room is a response to that survey. I don't think they signed Sauce and Garrett Wilson because the fan base wanted them signed. I think that was a football decision. But, they typically, more often than not, things that are in their control, they try to react to and fix. Right now, like the issue with the MetLife surface is not entirely a Jets issue, right? The Jets don't have full authority to say, hey, we're going to pay for grass. That's a bigger issue. They have a voice in it, but it's not just a full-on Jets issue right now. So yeah, when you look at it from that perspective of it's good that they addressed it. It's better to try to make things correct. And I think at the end of the day, it's just now can you get out in front of some of these things with this regime, right? Where you're not always reacting, but you're actually proactive in some of the moves for the team. So we'll kind of see where that goes. But it's the Jets have a reputation for not getting ahead on contract extensions. Garrett Wilson was one where they got ahead. Sauce, it kind of did itself, but they still did it. But Garrett is one where they were proactive. The facilities, locker room, the Jets have great facilities. It just sounds like there was some things within the organization that budget-wise that they needed to fix, and it seems like from afar that they've fixed that. So it's not shocking, but it is a good sign. And now you got to keep the forward momentum. Just because one little thing goes wrong doesn't mean you just – yeah, I don't want to be the downer here, but I've covered enough Jets regimes. I've known personally some Jets regimes where when they got there that first year, it was like, we asked for this, we got this. We asked for this, we got this. Woody is all in on this and that. And then if things started to go wrong after year two, everything was pulled out. And it was like, we gave you guys everything you needed, figure it out. So you got to keep it going now. That's the thing. You got to get a little momentum, have a solid season, start to show you you're turning the corner. Both sides need to fully invest into each other and give each other a reason to invest into each other. But once again, you'd rather see things start like this rather than you have, like, think of Brian Schottenheimer right now, sitting there.
Shoddy.
And you're trying
I can't believe he's a head coach. I'm thinking that he was their OC in 2006. It's almost 2026.
It's crazy. But I mean, he's sitting there and he's trying to have a professional training camp, and his best player is in a beef with the owner, and the owner can't help himself but just kind of just say outlandish things like, well, we could sign him and then he could still miss 6 games when he missed 4 last year. So you'd rather it just be like this.
Yes. It's also nice, simple things. Nate Hackett's not the offensive coordinator anymore. I'm just excited they have a different offensive coordinator, and one who I think is going to be quite good.
Because he can't be worse.
Can't be worse. And
he literally cannot be. He cannot be worse. He can't be worse.
I feel like we could get some LaFleur plus energy, like young, smart, fresh perspective, creative, right energy, and hopefully that sustains more. And Wilkes, is going to be no nonsense. Also, Chris Banjo, we talked about this a few months ago, bringing Mike Westhoff to camp the next few days. Love that. There's nothing wrong with having Mike Westhoff in the building.
That's great.
Get Brad Smith back in there. Get
a lot of yelling
back in there. A lot of yelling. I like it. A lot of high energy, positive football, not moping, not AAU. We like that change. We need that change.
The AAU team vibes are so gone. It feels much closer to a Big Ten college program. Like
the Big Ten Jets. Is that the new one? The Big Ten Jets?
They really, they're very Iowa Northwestern this year. The Jets. Maybe Iowa's a stretch too far because I know people laugh at Iowa because they don't score a lot of points, but Iowa is a professional.
Jets are going to be running triple option.
Hard-nosed program.
Yeah.
Where they are the Big Ten Jets right now. We begged for it in the draft. They delivered for the most part the first 3 rounds. And I think training camp is going to be There's going to be, I think guys are going to be very sore in a couple of weeks. And it just, man, I know we pile on solid with this. I just can't believe the opportunity they wasted the last couple of years. We're not going to harp on it, but if you're a Jets fan, it will feel very, very different. If you're a Jets player, and I think some of them are really, I don't think some of them, I think they're all here for a reason. I think a lot of them are going to embrace it.
Joint practices coming up too, which will be fun for the Jets and the Giants. It'll be
I mean, are we going to get some, Olu against Abdul Carter, Membu against Kayvon Thibodeau? Is going to be some fireworks.
Who was someone? Thibodeau was already fighting with someone on his own roster the other day. So
Jermaine Illuminor, one of their offensive linemen. I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll see. Russell Wilson's there. Very odd.
Jameis is there. They're all there.
Jameis is there. Jackson Dart's waiting to play. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Good luck to Dable. Anyway, here's I put this in the Discord, of course, where I put everything first. I'm really trying to train myself. No more long tweets. Just put it in the Discord. It's a learned habit. I've been tweeting a long time. I'm still going to use Twitter, but I'm just trying to shovel more and more into the Discord. All right. So my 53-man roster projection. No external additions because I'm just working with who's here now. I'm sure they will make some external additions from the waiver wire, but
maybe
working with what I got. 2 quarterbacks, Fields and Tyrod. No surprises. We'll see plenty of Martinez and Cook in the preseason. I don't think any of these guys stick around in a meaningful way. Running back, the big 3, of course, Brees, Braylon, Davis. I need you to check me because I keep pronouncing this poor guy's name wrong, and I think he's going to be the Jets kick returner, and he's going to get a roster spot. And I think you know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. How do I properly say his last name?
It is Wanwu.
Wanwu. Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's the best kick returner.
Kene Wanwu.
I think he's the best kick returner on the roster. I think he will make the team because of that. I wish he could return punts. I wish he could do a little more. But I think Banjo's going to see too much special teams value, and he's going to stick. Brought one back last year, very limited action. Wide receiver, Wilson, Badlands favorite, Reynolds, Lazard, your favorite, Tyler Johnson, which you'll have to talk about a little bit. You picked him to win the David Clowney Award. Arian Smith and Xavier Gibson. No Malachi Corley for me. I'll pause right there so you can react. And also tell me why you think Tyler Johnson's going to win the David Clowney Award.
I mean, hard to disagree with much here, right? We, besides the guys that are written in ink, quarterback's pretty easy. Think it'll be a 2-quarterback roster. Wanwu is definitely the best kick returner on the team. It's just a matter of will he do enough and be good enough as a kick returner to warrant that spot? How is he going to be covering kicks?
Could he be a gunner? Like, what else can you do?
Yeah. What can you really do? And can you develop a little bit as a running back, right? Because running backs get hurt. I mean, there's a world by the 3rd week of the season, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, or Breece Hall has a sprained ankle, and then you need the 3rd running back. People forget this all the time. You're most likely, it's kind of the starting pitching thing. Everybody goes into spring training, and nobody seems to care about the 6th starting pitcher, and then that starting pitcher is making starts for you the 1st or 2nd month of the season. Well, that's kind of the 4th running back. So can he develop it at all as a running back? It's something he hasn't done in his career, but that's a way he'd stick. Tyler Johnson is just kind of one of those guys that he's not overly explosive, overly fast or anything, or gigantic or anything like that. He's average size, mediocre speed, and he'll kind of just go to the dirty areas and make plays and haul in the football and sit in zone. And the Jets, quite frankly, their wide receiver group's just not good enough with floor players, right? Yeah. I mean, at some point, you need to be a professional that can go out there and be expected to run your route and catch the ball. Yeah. That's like, you look at the Jets. That's why Josh Reynolds is here.
Yeah,
I mean, in their number 2 receiver role. After Garrett Wilson, Reynolds, and Lazard, make all the Lazard jokes you want, but you kind of look at it and you go, well, Corley can't do that right now. And if Corley can't do that this summer, what can Corley do? He doesn't play special teams. He doesn't run routes. Are you just going to keep a guy to throw him screens? And if you do that, you really think the defense isn't going to know what's coming when he's out on the field for 4 snaps a game? So I'm with you. I wouldn't have Corley making the roster if I did a final 53-man roster prediction. I still think, I know people are really excited for Pritchett, who is an undrafted free agent out of South Alabama. He is very small. I don't think he has enough at wide receiver right now, so he would have to beat out Gibson for the punt return job and as a wide receiver. I think they like Gibson more as a 5th or 6th wide receiver than the fan base realizes, and he's good enough as a punt returner. that I would have this as well. So I don't think we have any differences. I think the only question would be, by the end of this, do I see the spot for Wanwu? And I'm going to, when we get to the defense, I'll bring up the reason why maybe there's not that fourth running back spot.
All right, rest of the offense, no surprises at tight end. Mason Taylor, Jeremy Ruckert, Stone Smart. I will note that I'm keeping Ruckert in that fullback H-back hybrid role and don't have Andrew Beck on the roster. A lot of Andrew Beck fans in the Discord and Twitter, like, how is he not on the roster? Listen,
he's got a little bit of a
little bit of a fan base there. So I get it. You know, we all like a fullback.
You brought up this before you started, like, this doesn't include external additions. I don't know what the Jets think of Ruckert, and maybe that they still haven't made many moves. Maybe it's telling us what they think of Ruckert. I mean, Noah Fant would be a good tight end too on this team, who just got cut by the Seahawks.
Good, solid football player.
Now, if the Jets are approaching this season saying young guys that we like, because all these guys scout, right? So they think when they get here and they've only been in the league 2 or 3 years, they think of them as prospects.
Yep.
I respect that this staff is not going to hold it against young offensive players that did not develop under Nate Hackett and Aaron Rodgers and all those guys. Now, we don't know. Maybe Ruckert is just exactly what he showed last year. I think he's a better player than that. I don't know if he's good enough to be the tight end 2 on this team. I don't know. But if they just want to give him that opportunity, this is the year to do it. Rather than, you can't go into camp next year with, well, you have this guy have it with an opportunity, this guy, and then you get into the season, you're like, damn, we kind of suck at 5 different positions because we just bet on guys turning the corner. And the reality is, in pro sports, guys just don't always turn the corner. It happens in every single sport. So, it'll be interesting to see if they do add a tight end, because that's a lot on Mason Taylor's lap, by the way. And I'm a believer, but
day one starter, 40
in this
third
offense,
on the team in targets, probably right away.
In this offense, tight end 1 and 2 have a really, really big role. So
I do wonder if the Jets look at someone like Fant and say, we think Stone Smart could be that guy. Kind of like more of a receiver than a tight end. And like maybe. Is that right? I don't know. But let's see. Offensive line, Membu and Olu starting a tackle, of course. I'm, of course, saying Tippmann is going to be the center. AVT
how good did it feel writing this one out?
It's nice. It was nice to write it down. I just wrote and rewrote the 5, and I was like, okay, Chugs is the backup tackle. Carter Warren, backup tackle where he should be. Xavier Newman is like the 10th lineman, and Myers is the top interior offensive lineman. So I have them, that's 10 with Newman sticking, Myers sticking, Chugs sticking, Warren sticking over Mitchell. That's how I have it sitting for now. Obviously, there could be some variance with some of those back offensive lineman spots. Now, this is one that hurt to write. On the defensive line, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens, still the third edge. Can't say he's not, because he is. I have Weaver, I have Watts, I have Barron. In the more meat of the interior, Quinnen, Cowart, Nandi, Telefe, and Taylor. So I'll stop after the big uglies on who I have sticking. Notably, I don't have Mathis. I don't have McGregor. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that really pops out of that group. My random hope is that Weaver is going to push Clemens for reps. Maybe it's Barron who pushes Clemens for reps. If they don't add someone, they should really add someone. I'm assuming Nandi and Cowart are going to kind of split D tackle too, although I'd love it to be Taylor, but that's where I'm at before I get into the linebackers.
To go back to O-line, I think Max Mitchell beats out Newman because he could play more positions, but although maybe they because they have Myers as the backup center.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never forget Newman placing the ball against the Giants. We'll always have that.
The all-time career moment for him. I think they'd like to have Mitchell thinking he could play tackle and guard in case they run into just brutal injuries. So D-line, this is the hardest one. I don't think Barron is good enough against the run that he's going to be in any kind of role, that significant role. But do they like what they see from him in camp as a pure pass rusher, and he sticks because he was a draft pick? Weaver had a lot of buzz in the spring that was very random. Good for him that he made enough plays. I would still lean on McGregor more, but we'll see where this is the fun one, because the front 7 is just like, go out there and compete. It really is.
Wide open.
Besides Quinnen, obviously, Will McDonald, JJ, Clemens is on this team. I mean, he would have to
be as bad as he was last year. Just to not make
and
the team.
I don't think anyone's even better. That's the problem. I would love to see them like give Jadeveon Clowney a call. And
one of these years we'll get Clowney. He's been an almost Jet for a decade. One of these
with
years.
Clowney, so the Jets are showing their hand. It seems like it was their decision over Jermaine's to kind of play this slow with him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're playing slow with him, you're just hurting the rest of the deep. Like if you have to bump up Clemens' role out of the gate, you're gonna find out the hard way, like we all do when we watch this team all the time, that it just doesn't work. It's just the more he has to play, the more problems that it brings to the defense. But we'll see. So yeah, this one's wide open. Can
I interest you in a Peyton Page roster spot? Are we really reaching here for a UDFA?
Listen, this is the type of camp that guys like that are in such an even playing field.
Yeah. Because
after Quinnen, here's the thing. I think Nadi's going to make the team, and I hope he has a bounce back year. He has not been good for a couple years now. He was really, really good for the Chiefs for a while. Yeah. But the last, I'd say at least 2 years, he has not been an NFL caliber, like the NFL caliber of snaps that the Jets are expecting here. Coward hasn't been good either. I'm just being honest. So I think the interesting part of that is there's this opportunity. I hope Leonard Taylor comes in with his hair on fire into camp. Like I'm the guy to play next to Quinnen, but probably more of a rotational pass rush first tackle in this defense.
Need it from Leonard Taylor because the rest of these names, man, not inspiring. Linebacker, Quincy, newly paid Sherwood. Kiko as the rookie. I think he's going to be the third linebacker. Kind of scary.
And he could play. He's a heavier backer, so he could play kick coverage and things like that.
Get him in the A gap on the goal line defense. Jamin Davis, random fan favorite, good athlete.
Who plays a lot of edge
now. Edge, blitz him a little bit. Some talk about Quincy blitzing more too. Maybe he backs up that role.
So maybe Jamin Davis, if he makes it, it knocks a Weaver or a Watts off the roster because they think they can play him at edge. And maybe that opens the door for another off-ball guy. Zaire Barnes is somehow literally on this roster.
I don't believe he's a real person.
I know.
Can't convince me.
I know.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it. Him and Roger Saffold. All right, the corners. Sauce, Stevens. Could he be a safety? No, he'll be a corner. Favorite, Michael Carter. Thomas, of course.
Yep.
Oliver, who they chose to brought back and can play safety and corner.
He gives you nickel depth, which is really important.
Boyd, special teamer, brought over by Banjo, will stick. And JBC of recent TOJ pod fame, I have him over Stiggers because I think with his size, this staff will skew towards him. And I do think he can play safety or corner potentially. Safety, Cisco, Malachi Moore, Tony Adams. I hope Malachi Moore starts week 1. And then my deep cut of Monroe as the fourth safety, who we'll talk about a little more in War Room, of Aaron Rodgers' praise fame late last season as the fourth safety and a special teamer. Longest tenured Jet. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. Thomas Hennessy at long snapper. Thicker kicker. I'm just picking him for fun, but it's wide open. And then McNamara as the punter. That brings us to 53. I'm assuming in this model, Gibson is the punt returner, not the kick returner, which we already discussed.
So I wonder if in this scenario, do you knock the fourth safety off the roster in Monroe because you think that I would use Camp to get a look at the comfort level. Isaiah Oliver can play some form of safety.
Yep.
But can JBC or Stiggers handle a role of safety where I'd like to keep both of them? I think JBC had a really good camp last year, and I think that I still like the talent of Stiggers, who I think is a pretty good tackler for a corner. So what I would do is I would try, just because Monroe is the inferior player, and I think the corner depth is good and they have versatility, I would try to keep the extra corner there that can play safety interchangeable just to keep the better talent. I think the thicker kicker loses the battle to Caden Davis, but we'll see. I mean, it's wide open. But yeah, that'd be my only thing. Yeah, you know, I liked Stiggers as a prospect.
Yes.
And I want to see what he could do. I think he's physical. I think his personality will mesh really well with Glenn. Yeah. So, but I think JBC is a solid player.
Yeah, I think it was great last preseason.
When you have this in front of you, you're like, damn, the Jets are uniquely talented and deep at corner.
Yes,
they really
feel good about that secondary depth and guys who are versatile. Again, the main thing I'm hoping for on defense, besides my headache looking at the defensive line again, is, can Malachi Moore firmly establish himself as a starter week 1 with Cisco? Beyond that, it's just going to be this grab bag on the defensive line. And I do really hope, whether it's Judon, whether it's Darius Smith, whether it's Clowney, whether it's a name I'm not thinking of because they haven't been cut yet, they need another veteran up front. You have to put a little Clemens and Cowart proof up front. It would be irresponsible not to. I think they will at some point. I think it's far more likely they do that than make any sexy addition on offense at receiver. Could be wrong, but I kind of feel like they're going to run it with what they have at receiver, and they're going to throw a lot to the tight ends and the running backs and Garrett. Brandon Smith's kind of an interesting guy to watch at receiver. I just wonder, they drafted Arian Smith for that role. So like, how many opportunities does he really get? Unless Arian Smith is spending camp on the bike or like isn't healthy. So he's kind of like a deep cut that I think a lot of us like. Beyond that, everyone's going to like Donovan Edwards because he's a well-known college player. I just don't see how it happens unless he's playing receiver.
He wasn't very good the last 2 years of college.
I just think Davis has more juice, and we saw it last year. So I don't.
Man, Davis is a good player, and I think it's. Here's my galaxy brain Isaiah Davis take is that Brees is such a home run player at times, and Braylon Allen is so uniquely large that every time you see Davis, a picture of him or him on camera, he just looks like just a guy.
Yeah.
But if you're ever around him, he's almost 225 pounds. He's probably, this is maybe a hot take, he's the best runner probably in terms of flow and vision on the roster. Brees is, maybe that's too insulting to Brees, but Brees, I think the scheme didn't help him at times. There's just times where he was a little hesitant. Davis is just a no nonsense, see
one
it
cut, plant the foot,
one cut and go kind of guy. Where Brees obviously has bigger home run ability and is by far the best running back on the roster. I'm not taking away from Brees. Braylon Allen is the size of the mountain, but yeah, Isaiah Davis is just, you need a no nonsense kind of guy that is also big enough to take hits, and that's exactly what he is.
All right, we'll close with a minute or two on Justin Fields. A different kind of summer for us at quarterback, right?
Feels good.
It was like the 3 years of Sam, the couple of years of Zach, and then Rodgers was its own thing. It's just different with Fields, where he's not a rookie or like a second-year guy who needs to be the guy who was the second or third overall pick. Rodgers is a whole different thing as a future Hall of Famer. With Fields, you're watching and hoping, can he be that Baker, that Darnold sort of career renaissance, a guy who was a first-round pick, who the Jets, very well could have taken second overall. So much of what he does is tied to his athleticism. I think it's going to be a recurring theme that he could have ran for X today in practice, but he didn't because they're not going to hit the quarterback. So I think for him, you're just looking, who can he get comfortable with besides Garrett? I think Reynolds is going to quickly move up that list, and so will Mason Taylor, and so will the running backs. Can he stay healthy?
Throw the ball to the running backs and the tight ends.
How much does a guy like Fields even play in the scrimmages in the preseason? Because he's not it's like a top 10 quarterback, right? He's got to work to prove himself. And there's probably certain things Tyrod's just flat out better at him and that's not a knock. Tyrod's just been around forever and is a solid player. But how much do we even see from Fields this summer? And how much are they, if I'm Angstrom, and we know the Jets are going to be tight with practice this year and what they show and don't show, which we don't blame him for. It makes sense. New staff, new everything. I feel like we're not going to see a lot from Fields this summer intentionally.
I think he will. Well, one, yeah. I mean, obviously they have a couple practices open to the fans and stuff. I do think this is a team, a new regime that will be somewhat careful of what is out there and what's not. They also have practices that are only open to the media that, you're not going to see a ton of videos and stuff like that. It's usually that's, forbidden or under control and stuff like that. So he's got to play because he's got to understand the concepts of the offense. Yep. And it's his first year with Tanner Angstrom. And yes, he's played with Garrett Wilson in college, but this is the NFL. The windows are smaller. The offense is different. There's a lot going on. So he does need to play quite a bit. But I think you need to get in his ear, and you probably Fields is smart enough. You don't even need to tell him this. You don't need to try to evade 4 defenders and then run and take any hits. You just don't. That's the beauty of his game when the lights are on for the regular season. But I mean, let's be real here. You're going to see a very vanilla, watered down version of Fields this summer where if he drops back and there's nothing there after 4 or 5 seconds and he throws the ball away, that's fine. You want to get comfortable in the timing and the rhythm of this offense and with the receivers and everything like that. But you're also not, you said it at the top, Joe, like Angstren's going to be pretty creative, LaFleur-ish. There'll be some things. He's not going to show any of that this summer. No. So I think you will see Fields, but I don't think there's I just don't think there's a lot to take away, honestly. I really, really don't. Here's my other thing. I think Fields needs so many of the reps in camp, but how much? I don't want to play Tyrod that much this summer. I want Tyrod. I don't need to see anything from Tyrod.
We know what Tyrod can and can't.
I want him to be a healthy backup. Tyrod should play 2 quarters this summer. Seriously. Yeah. Why do I have Tyrod Taylor out there this summer? I want him to be a healthy backup. Let the other guys just mop up duty, all of that. So, yeah, you won't see a ton, but he does have to play I think Glenn's going to be aggressive with these guys. I do. I know Detroit dealt with so much injury last year that maybe that gives you a little bit of cold feet at the end of the year. But I don't know. I think Glenn wants them to be football ready as much as they possibly can be. Glenn played in the 90s. Where the CBA,
God bless the 90s,
was. I'm like a little kid sometimes at SMY off screen, like when we're in the green room stuff. I asked Willie what camp was like all the time, and Bart what camp. I'm like, man, what was camp like then when you were doing this and that? And like the stories are just awesome. We are so far gone from what training camp used to be, and I think a guy like Aaron, that's gonna piss off Aaron Glenn when he's like, I have an hour and a half today, and we're off tomorrow. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Oh, so
it's a different world we're in now.
Sprint to the next drill and pads are on. You're hitting.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be different.
All right. We're going to go jump over and record War Room, answer a bunch of your questions from the Discord. Of course, click the link in the bio. Take advantage of the free 1 month of War Room. And go to badlandstoj.com. We got polos. We got new tank tops. We got a new alt logo hat. And most importantly, we have live show tickets for August 23rd so we can all hang in person. Expand lands, a lot of stuff going on, new shows to feed is so crowded as the guy who publishes these episodes. I love it. Can never have enough content. Thank everyone for listening, and we will talk to you soon.